No one predicted that a global icon like Justin Bieber would show a deeply emotional reaction after hearing a shocking statement regarding the relationship between Jungkook and Taehyung, two key figures in BTS publicly known as taekook. Yet that's exactly what happened. In a moment not officially published but quickly spread through unverified footage, Bieber appeared unable to hide his shock, and even, according to several internal sources, cried after understanding the context of the statement he heard directly from within the industry circle. Is this a personal reaction, or does it signal that the situation between HYBE and taekook has entered a very dark and previously unimaginable phase? The fundamental question now arises: what kind of statement could shake someone of Justin Bieber's stature to such an emotional point? Was he simply expressing empathy, or was he witnessing firsthand how two people he admired were experiencing structural pressure from a system long considered their own home? Bieber's reaction is not just about sympathy. It reflects something larger, a growing internal conflict now surfacing, involving major names that should never have been implicated if the situation were still manageable internally. Several sources close to Bieber's creative circle indicated that he had long been monitoring the taekook dynamic personally, especially since a closed-door meeting between Bieber and the two BTS members in the United States last year. Their interaction, initially seen merely as an artistic collaboration, reportedly developed into a highly sensitive and strategic communication. Hence, it's no surprise that Bieber became an outsider with access to information not yet revealed to the public. But what exactly was the content of the statement, said to come from within HYBE, that made Bieber shed tears? Based on documents not officially released, there are indications that the existence of taekook as a cultural unit within BTS had long been a source of internal debate. The tension between maintaining public harmony and the reality of member relationships became an ever-growing dilemma as both figures' popularity skyrocketed. Some parties claimed that the closeness of Jungkook and Taehyung was viewed as a brand disruption by certain management structures that felt their presence needed tighter control. If that's true, did Bieber learn that specific decisions had been made to reduce taekook's public appearances to prevent public assumptions deemed harmful to the business structure? And if that's what he heard, was his emotional reaction a rejection of how the system operates? An audio snippet circulating online communities claims Bieber said, "They didn't deserve this," in a heavy, emotionally strained voice. Though the authenticity of this recording hasn't been verified, the digital atmosphere instantly ignited with speculation that HYBE's statement not only personally hurt Jungkook and Taehyung, but also exposed a structural wound in how the Korean entertainment world handles interpersonal dynamics within such tightly controlled systems. Does this mean that what we are witnessing is not just a narrative conflict, but a humanitarian crisis within the global music industry? And if a figure as prominent as Bieber reacts with tears and anger, what does he know that the public doesn't? The ARMY's reaction to this issue is razor-sharp. Various discussion forums have begun raising bold questions. Has taekook been deliberately pressured to stay apart all this time? Are their emotional public moments a reflection of internal conflict tightly censored? Has HYBE long employed a structured separation strategy to maintain control over public narrative? Sadly, in such a foggy situation, it's hard to distinguish between fact and perception. But one thing is clear: the more prominent figures express discomfort with how this system operates, the stronger the signal that something is truly wrong behind the scenes. Bieber, as a musician with a long history of enduring industry pressures, knows the scent of manipulation and repression all too well. So when he reacts this way to the taekook issue, the public should pay serious attention. There are suspicions that Bieber's reaction occurred after reading documents detailing how taekook's relationship was managed to not appear too close in public. Some of the technical terms used in those documents even included actions like emotional containment and public disengagement strategy as part of BTS's visual narrative policy over the last 2 years. If Bieber did gain access to this information, then it's perfectly reasonable for him to feel shaken, not just because of his care for his two friends, but because he may have witnessed a form of cultural repression institutionalized by systematic design. What worsens the situation is the absence of clarification from those who should be accountable. When someone as big as Justin Bieber is involved and shows a reaction, the public demands honest explanation. But so far, the involved parties have opted for silence, relying on uncertainty to weaken the power of speculation. Yet the longer this silence lasts, the stronger the wave of distrust that forms. Are we witnessing the beginning of an exposé of a repressive system that has long existed within K-pop? Is Bieber's crying a symbol that the ethical boundaries have been crossed in managing global artists? Or is this just one of many emotional reactions that will eventually be forgotten in a flood of sensational narratives? These questions grow louder, especially since Bieber isn't the only one visibly shaken. Several other celebrities from the global music industry have begun posting ambiguous phrases on their social media accounts, seemingly signaling they know more than the public has been told. And as the world begins to wonder why taekook no longer appear together at major events, a wave of informal investigation emerges, leading to frightening discoveries. There are documents, there are witnesses, and there's a narrative beginning to form a pattern. That pattern is now the main concern. Has taekook truly been systematically distanced? Has Justin Bieber become a direct witness to decision-making that violated the personal integrity of two individuals? And if so, will this industry continue to survive under a hierarchical model that suppresses artist personality for business stability? This is no longer just a fan inquiry. This is a moral issue that now transcends entertainment. And if left unanswered, the public will draw its own conclusions. Because when someone like Bieber sheds tears, not on stage, but behind the scenes after hearing something unconscionable, then the world must pause and ask, what really happened? Amidst this foggy and assumption-laden information climate, the public is now forced to reflect on one fundamental thing. Do the events they witness and consume from various media platforms truly reflect reality? Or is all this the result of a constructed narrative designed to steer public opinion toward a pre-calculated direction? This question is not merely a formality. It's the foundation for anyone who claims to seek the truth in an increasingly uncontrollable sea of information. Justin Bieber's emotional reaction, said to have occurred after hearing internal information about taekook's status in BTS, has triggered a massive wave of attention. But the public must ask, did those tears really happen in the context as reported? Is the widely circulated audio recording containing the phrase, "they didn't deserve this," truly from Bieber's mouth in a setting directly related to Jungkook and Taehyung's pressure? Or is it possibly a clip taken out of context and paired with an unverified narrative to create a dramatic effect? Most sources referenced in this incident originate from platforms like TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and online forums that often spread information rapidly without adequate curation. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that these alternative media hold great power in shaping public perception. Therefore, it is increasingly important for every individual not to stop at merely consuming information, but to have the courage to trace the truth to its deepest roots. If we cannot differentiate between fact and constructed narrative, then we automatically become part of the disinformation system we criticize. Are we certain that statements from certain parties about taekook are the result of legitimate investigation, or are they merely speculative plots stitched together from scattered opinions across digital spaces? Can an emotional reaction from a celebrity be used as a basis to conclude an ethical violation in BTS's management? Or are we trapped in a narrative crafted purely for viral purposes? We must also ask boldly, if this event is real, why is there no direct confirmation from the parties mentioned? Why is there still no visual evidence proving that the crying was directly linked to the taekook situation? Or has all of this been deliberately silenced, leaving only fragments of emotion thrown into the public for analysis without complete validation tools? The public must not blindly consume the information being spread, especially when it involves someone's reputation and integrity. Justin Bieber is a highly recognized figure in the entertainment industry, but his closeness to taekook, no matter how personal, cannot serve as a structural basis for concluding internal conflicts within HYBE. We must explicitly ask this question. Is it possible that vested interests are using Bieber's name to amplify the conflict and turn him into a tool to sway opinion against an institution now under scrutiny? The current circulating information lies in a confusing gray zone. On one side, the public receives a strong emotional narrative, full of tears and moral tragedy. On the other, there are no authentic documents, no sworn statements, and no material evidence presented publicly as a basis for justification. Therefore, the public must choose to be part of the crowd swept away in a wave of mass emotion, or to step back and analyze this situation with cool heads and strict rationality. Deep reflection is needed. Are we witnessing a revelation of structural violations against two individuals in an oppressive system? Or is this an information campaign designed to create public drama for popularity and relevance? Is it possible the taekook narrative is deliberately being revived amid this tension to distract from other, more substantive internal issues? One thing is certain: if we don't question what we consume, we've lost our role as a public sovereign over truth. In a world where every emotion can be capitalized on and every conflict commercialized, skepticism is not just important, it's essential. There's no reason to assume someone's tears are absolute proof of truth, just as there's no reason to completely reject that those tears may indeed be a response to a bitter reality. If we truly care about the truth, then we must be willing to wait for the process. Verification takes time. Clarification isn't an instant product. In this case, the presence of Justin Bieber as an external subject must be evaluated carefully. Is he a victim of a twisted narrative or a witness to something that conscience cannot accept? And in either scenario, our responsibility remains the same: not to spread information without validation. As readers, viewers, and followers of global culture, we have a moral responsibility to refrain from forming conclusions based solely on assumptions. We must ask ourselves, do I have enough data to justify my belief? Am I responding to reality, or swept up in the dramaturgy of social media? It must be emphasized once more that all the currently circulating information still lies within the realm of speculation. There is no direct clarification, no official investigation, and no public acknowledgement that can serve as a basis. Therefore, as part of the global community, we are invited to pause and ask, is this really happening? Or are we being led to believe in something designed to appear real? We live in an era where information is a weapon, and that weapon can be used to defend truth or to destroy reputations. So our choice as the public is to be bullets in a propaganda system or the last line of defense for information integrity. In this case, our role becomes even more critical. We are not just passive witnesses. We are agents who will determine where the truth will go. Let us use this moment as a collective exercise in critical thinking. Don't let tears, popularity, or emotional intensity blur logic and analysis. And above all, don't allow anyone, no matter who they are, to use the power of media to construct a false reality we'll accept as truth.